Okay, the channel is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Woohoo!
Dungeons and
Dungeons and
Dragons, you say?
Dragons!
Yes.
I am Christiana Ellis, and I am the Dungeon Master. Our players tonight, Mark Kilfoyle as Vertigo.
Who am I again?
I was actually wondering, it's like, are we still introducing you as Vertigo or back as Nedry? I don't know.
All the
Uh,
names are fine.
Paul Fisher as Zinhorn Windborn.
Good evening.
Jaylene, played by Jenny Meltzer.
I'm just gonna be Zaleen from now on. That's my new name.
Hmm. And Starla Hutchton as Carolina Swift.
Hello, friends.
So, for the last several weeks, we have been following the adventures of the task force sent by the Friend of the Emperor to deal with the Nightmare Dragon in Villanocta. And thankfully to all involved, except I guess for the Nightmare Dragon, they were ultimately successful, first in recruiting the dragon Sitzlebeck to their cause, and then ultimately in vanquishing the Nightmare Dragon itself and restoring, at least to a great extent, the Villanocta, which had been transformed by the nightmare. But in the meantime, let's return to the Pocket Protectors, our primary adventurers in this campaign. Where we left them, they had attended this big summit in Pashan, capital of the Tashmian Empire, and with lots of people, all interested parties, there was a lot of discussion about how to handle the various threats all across the multiverse. And you had received information from your friend Sorashana, who is in touch with an entity named Kosh, who spoke to you in the plane of dream and told you that he was essentially a fragment left behind of one of the ancient titans. In fact, the one whose left behind weapon becomes the pillar, an ancient artifact of unfathomable power. He has suggested that the way to achieve victory in this bigger war is to assemble various pieces of some kind of a machine, the workings of which are so complex that for any mortal creature to try to comprehend all of it risks madness. Should be fun putting it together, right? In the meantime, though, you have two of them. You have many researchers on their doing their work to try to discover the whereabouts of more. There are the trying to remember where we had left all of them. Let's see. So the two that you have are the loop and the gear. And there are others that you're researching, but you have learned already that Empress Solomonia, once Archfey, now ruler of Mount Celestia, the upper plane of lawful good, says that she has the chronometer. And she has invited all of you to Mount Celestia to receive this artifact. And that is where we will be beginning our session tonight. But first, before we do story stuff, all of you have a little bit of time to prepare yourselves. But I want to have each of you take a moment to describe your character visually. In particular, how do you prepare yourself? How do you dress? What do you look like when you are preparing to visit the court of Empress Solomonia in Mount Celestia itself? The sort of thing that would be beyond the wildest dreams of the highest priests of Solomonia in the material plane under any other circumstance.
Well, I'm going to dive right in because I'm actually going to make myself as goth and Raven Queen as possible because I do not want her thinking she can sway me away from where I belong. So I've got all black on. It's really pretty, like flowing cape that just I look like I belong in the Shadowfell, that I am the Shadowfell, and I want her to see that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, so like, what do you look like otherwise, though? I think it's a good opportunity to remind folks what your character looks like broadly.
Well, I am a dark elf with sort of like a ashen gray skin tone, stark white hair, purple eyes, and I wear a lot of gothy makeup. So that's just who I am. It's just me. I am so goth. That's all I will say.
All right. Who else?
I'm going to go to the Temple of Urshama and get some, like, honest to goodness priest wear, like the white tunic with the symbol of the rock and
Mm-hmm.
the white cloak that goes on it, the funny hat, because gotta have a funny hat. And so Zinhorn's going to put his liquid bronze armor in its bottle and is just going to be acting, well, dressed in priest stuff, as a good cleric of Rushama should be. Respectful, but like Zaleen, um, uh, uh, I know who I am and where I come from, and I'm not for sale. So this is tough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Who is Linda Day?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that I would definitely do is ensure that I've replaced all of my lute strings, probably polished that up, or my mandolin, actually, I should say. Well, both. You know what? Got to be prepared, right?
Liar.
um,
Nah, it's not. I just think, anyway.
mhm. Let's see. See, I'm really torn here because like I could go and match Zaleen if I wanted to. This is a hard choice, man. When you can be anything, like
Mm-hmm.
how do you choose? Hmm.
Because, of course, Carolina is a changeling, can look like any creature she wishes.
Hmm. Let's see. Well, given where we're going, I think it will make sense to do something a little more colorful, kind of match my surroundings. So I think I'm actually going to go as my Declan persona, my Aarakocra,
Okay.
um, who is what was it, a lilac-breasted roller, if you want to Google that. It's that color palette, so very kind of like pastelly. We've got teal, we've got a cerulean, we've got a magenta, we've got like a pale pink, a real pale yellow, and let's see what else. Uh, yeah, so wings kind of brown on the back, and then they fade into a teal color also. Um, but the clothing is actually very simple. It's almost kind of like a toga, um, with like some gold cording, like around the waist and stuff. So yes, that's me.
I think it's not even considered by them. I think that as soon as the decision was made that we were going there, they hit the books and they started studying everything, everything about Celestia, everything about um, uh, Salonia, everything about anything. A lot of fairly sleepless nights trying to transcribe notes into multiple books which have vanished into the bag and are held there. There's a bookshelf filled now with crazy references and cross references and diagrams that are spanning multiple pages that fold out into these larger sheets that don't seem to make much sense. Covered in alchemical symbols, covered in multiple languages, covered in cross covered in multiple colors, even. And then when the time comes, you see this small gnome. He's still young. I think he's still 18. Not even a full adult, especially not among gnomes. His thick glasses are there. His pen, which is his writing implement slash casting implement, now kind of has a different position, which was entirely unintended, but it looks like it was a pocket feather, if you will, because that's where it's been stowed now in his breast pocket. Looks like it's ornamental, but it's completely not. Wearing the purple jacket that he had in the what was it called, the moon shadowed sea. Wearing underneath that the simple brown robes he wore for a long time as a student that hang down across his back. Beneath there's some of the I'm trying to remember what it was. It was a different colored clothing. I think it was a deep purple that he'd worn when adventuring in Dinethir. A mishmash of all of the different styles he's worn so far, casually worn, without any thought of organization, thoughts of pockets, thoughts of warmth. That's about it. His skin is more and more aquamarine all the time. Not that the skin is actually changing color, but these round U-shaped overlapping silver scales are becoming more and more prominent every time you see him. They may not have changed at all, but for some reason they seem to be more silvery, as are his eyes, sort of tinting in a silver way. Kind of looking up, walking up to the group, walking up to wherever we're launching from, essentially, with a book open, and then looking up as if seeing the three of them with a puzzled look, as if it's been a long time, and then kind of looking down at his own clothing. Oh, I didn't realize there was going to be a dress code. Never mind. Back to reading again.
So, in all this research that you were doing, what sorts of specific things were you trying to learn the most about?
I think in part it's the dual nature of Solomonia is dangerous and fascinating at the same time.
Sure.
Being both Fae and God, whimsy and power mixed together, kind of that sort of thing. And then probably delving into some of the legends as well about how Solomonia came to power. What Solomonia wants is probably one of the deepest things. And probably not finding anything new that you would have seen before. He's got a disturbing religion skill somehow. But just kind of the strategic element of all of that.
Sure. So I go ahead and make an investigation check to see if I'm going to recap her whole deal, but maybe you get a little extra if you roll real well.
Give it a try.
Wow,
It's a
26.
26.
26 is pretty good. So what everybody would know about Empress Solomonia is that she is at present the the ruler of Mount Celestia, which is the upper plane associated with lawful good, uh, and as a result is in some ways an icon of what it means to be lawful good in this cosmos. By the very fact of her being there, the cosmos is, in a subtle way, shaped around her and the way she is there. And it is less commonly known, but still generally known amongst anyone who studies religion at all, that she was not always the ruler there, that she was previously an archfey living in the Feywild. And specifically, she was one of a pair of archfey that were, to some extent, above even the others. Her counterpart being Queen Hieronymus, who, now that Solomonia is not there, has become a little bit more reclusive. She doesn't participate as much in the ongoing affairs of the rest of the Feywild. She is content to be her own position in the cosmos without needing to like go places and talk about it. But the general understanding is of Queen Solomonia is that even for people who would be generally suspicious of the idea of an archfey taking over this position, the general understanding is that she seems at least to take the position seriously and behaves as though it is right and proper for her to be there, and does not seem to be bending the cosmos to her whims. That said, it certainly did represent a shift in the understanding of lawful good. There is much more emphasis on honesty, transparency, and not keeping secrets, for example. And this is somewhat reflective of a trait that Empress Solomonia always had, which was that she always wanted to be able to know everything that was going on. It is part of the understood heroes of legend story that her ascension, her apotheosis to her current position, came about partly as a result of their adventure. And that when they saved the universe, in the process of them managing to seal away the cosmos from the warring factions of law and chaos outside the planes as you understand them, they did so to one degree or another with Solomonia's help. And as a result, she managed to ascend to the head of Mount Celestia. It is something that, generally speaking, is not really talked about very much. Nobody seems to know who she replaced, because it seems sensible that if it wasn't always her, was there some singular entity that was in charge before she was? For whatever reason, that knowledge seems to have kind of just disappeared. And for the most part, the people who are primarily interested in study of her seem to consider it not a terribly important question. Because to a large extent, the upper planes are beyond time in the way that the material plane understands it. And so even though there was a point in time that you can point to and say, at this time, her apotheosis came, there's a lot of theorizing that that does not necessarily mean that it wasn't still always her somehow. And if you get confused as how that could be, well, they say, well, it's a mystery. How do you explain the ways of gods? That sort of thing.
I
But,
think,
go ahead.
well, I think that one feature that might be noticed by the others is that they aren't chatty about all this knowledge. But he has been chatting a lot, and they would occasionally walk in on him murmuring under his breath as if talking to someone else. And he's been
Yes.
chatting with the adversary a lot on this stuff.
Certainly, the attitude of the soul of Percival Canker is now trapped within your ring. He is charitably, let's say, dismissive of the importance of gods. He feels that if they were worth even thinking much about, it's really only in the context of how to avoid having to ever interact with them. And that the best approach when considering gods of any kind is to do everything you can to avoid their notice and prevent them from messing with you. That is his general feeling about it. As you might guess, he is not super thrilled about you going to Mount Celestia for this whole purpose. Understands that you need the components, but it's like the fact, he brings up something that I'm sure all of you have considered as a question is, if she's so powerful and she has one of these parts, why is she making you come to her to get it? Couldn't she just have someone show up with it? Why is she making such a big thing? But then again, another part of the understanding of Solomonia in those who study her is that public displays and rituals and demonstrations of faith are part of her whole deal, what she likes. And so the idea of having a big public ceremony for something like this is entirely in keeping with how her, her followers worship her and this sort of thing. Also relevant, of course, to our adventure is that of late, in response seemingly to the tears in the plane between the material plane and the realm of dream, she has raised up many citizens of the Tashmian Empire in Pashan to become new clerics and new paladins empowered by her power at a level that's frankly unprecedented. Generally speaking, both the upper and lower planes are kind of careful to balance how much they influence the material plane, because otherwise the material plane can end up or could end up just as like the battlefield for wars between all the different planes. But she has certainly made some big waves in that regard. But as a result, Pashan has been largely much more protected from those nightmare incursions than other places where that didn't happen. But yes, so I think that's what you glean from your research there. But so in the meantime, though, once you have all prepared yourselves, at the appointed time, there in one of the chapels in the Imperial Palace, there at the altar, a glowing golden portal opens up, and you are able to walk through. I assume that you do, or let me know.
All right, pocket protectors, let's go.
Does the golden light bother my eyes? I have to know.
I'm gonna leave that to you. Not strictly speaking just that I'm going to let you, like, put it on you to decide, so much as there's a little bit of a vibe of how much the light bothers you or doesn't is actually dependent on your attitude towards it.
I feel like it would bother me.
Okay.
I really do. I think like right away I would be like, oh, it's like the sun but worse, and that would really
Well, the thing is, it's
influence
like,
my decision.
yeah, if you think about sunlight, there are times when it feels wonderful, right? And then there are times when it's too much and you want it to stop, right? And so I think that it's like it's very subjective in that way. But so uh, as you step through this portal, you emerge into a huge courtyard for a spectacularly beautiful mountainside palace. Looking all around you, I think the most shorthand uh, version of this image I would like to offer is of um, a fabulous garden party at a big fancy mansion. You know, there's lots of topiary, and there's various celestials wandering around with platters, golden platters of drinks and food. There's people milling around dressed spectacularly. Most of them seem to be various types of celestial and Asimar, but there's also many humanoids of all different kinds. And the light is the sort of twilight that you get just before sunrise or just after sunset, but the magical orbs of multicolored light drift here and there, providing a beautiful like accompaniment and plenty of light to see by. And there's lots of people, you know, milling around in a very much an attitude of people either enjoying themselves or not while they wait for something to happen, right? As you step through the portal, there are many who see you arrive and give you some light applause, but otherwise don't crowd you right away. You, as you look around a little bit, you see that although there's a lot of people who look like they belong in Mount Celestia milling around, there also seem to be several delegations of people who, like you, must have come here from somewhere else. Also, I didn't describe the view yet, which is to say you are sort of midway up where you can look downhill, down the slope, and see below you um, gorgeous, verdant green fields and forests and orchards and farms that just looks impossibly beautiful. And above you is the towering, impossibly tall peak of Mount Celestia. Yes, even bigger than Rushama, partly by virtue of it not being constrained by the same types of physics. Um, but then, like looking around you, you see all of these different delegations. You see, for example, over off to one side, you see a group of what you understand. I'm going to assume that your study, you've been prepared a little bit to understand some of the different types of extraplanar creatures. So you see a bunch of modrons and duodrons and pentadrons, which are the different, sizes and complexity of creatures from the plane of pure law. Over on one side, you see a delegation from the Feywild, including several Eladrin, and you spot, at the very least, the Lord of the Hunt and Ice Prince Rimithek de Avio, who you had previously seen at the Archfey's court. There seem to be delegations from each of the four elemental planes, earth, air, water, and fire. The delegation from the plane of fire seems to include a red dragon that at a glance, you think might be Onira, the red dragon that you encountered and assisted in the elemental plane of fire earlier in this campaign. There's a delegation of strange creatures, one of whom seems to be wearing strange wizard robes, has sort of a greenish elongated head, but like no mouth or nose, just glowing yellow eyes. And he's flanked by a jackal-headed humanoid in fancy robes as well. And then next to him is a bulky, green-skinned, horned, winged creature, and they are flanked by several weird, like sort of almost fiendish looking bug men that look kind of like combinations between flies and goblins. Like, you know, if a goblin went through the Brundlefly machine, that's kind of what these guys look like. Um, and those of you who either ask or would have knowledge about these things would understand those to be Yugoloths, which are fiends, but not strictly from the hells or the abyss. They're not devils, they are not demons, but they are fiends otherwise. And then you also see sticking to themselves as well, another party of humanoids that include a pair of twin half-elves that each seem to have one of their eyes replaced with like a draconic eye, and it's the opposite eye for each of them. So it's the right eye for one and the left for the other. And they are standing with a tiefling and two other humans that are all of them look like pretty nasty customers that kind of delve from the, probably representing one of the lower planes as well. They, one of them has a dagger that seems like it glows dark, if that makes any sense. In the same way that a traditionally glowing thing would give off light, this seems to give off dark. And so there's kind of just a shadowy patch around where he has it holstered. Another is carrying a big old heavy axe and some strange black metal case. And the tiefling has huge, like, draconic wings that he's currently got, like, folded up almost like they're a cape. So you've got quite a variety of different parties here at this party. And as you are standing there taking all of this in, a couple of strange creatures that give you a celestial vibe, but what they actually look like is sort of a hovering lantern the size of, maybe a foot and a half tall, but with constantly rotating pieces that move constantly floating around each other with no obvious physical connection holding them together, but a glowing light within the center. And they're holding golden trays that each have what looks like a very fancy crystal wine glass and a plate that's got what look like fairly simple, like, crackers on them. They are, it's like, greetings, pocket protectors. Please enjoy refreshments while you wait.
I'm gonna take a drink and a cracker and
So,
turn to.
sure. As you take the drink first, tell me, what would Zinhorn want the drink to be?
Dark ale, a winter brew like an Abbey Triple, something really thick and heavy.
Yeah. As you pick up the wine glass, it transforms into a mug of exactly that kind of beer in your hand.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna turn to Vertigo and say, "Is this like the Feywild? Are we allowed to eat here or not?"
This is not the Feywild, despite some of the overtones. I would imagine that we would be brought here in good faith. So perhaps that would be the basis on which we must judge things.
From your research, what you would know is that unlike the Feywild, where there's often tricks that sort of thing that can happen, making bargains that you're unaware of, that sort of thing, generally not a problem in Mount Celestia. However, what has been known to be a problem is literally just that everything is so nice here, it kind of makes the rest of the world feel shabby by comparison.
All right.
Solomonia is known to be forthright in most of the dealings.
Well, then let's eat, drink, and be merry.
Just remember, we do have work to do.
When you
Yeah.
take a cracker, likewise, it becomes whatever sort of hors d'oeuvre you would most like it to be.
Small meat pie and puff pastry, heavily spiced.
Nice.
And I'm gonna snack and drink, and I guess we're waiting to see what else is gonna happen.
Who else takes?
While Zinhorn is waiting to see what happens, I'm waiting to see what happens to Zinhorn as he's eating this food and drinking this wine.
Sure.
That's
sure.
all I'm doing. I'm watching
Sure.
Zinhorn now.
So when you don't take anything right away, the one that was waiting there does move away. However, you get the feeling like the instant you wanted something, there would be one nearby. But yeah, Zinhorn, as you try it, it's the best you've ever had. It's the best beer, the best food you've ever tasted.
This stuff is fantastic, guys. It is so good. You have got to try this.
I think for me, I wouldn't take any food, but I would definitely take a drink, and it would become a very simple cup of green tea. Just very lightly sweetened. Perfectly brewed, of course.
I think you'll find too that as you hold it, it doesn't cool. It stays at just the right temperature for no matter how long you hold it.
Nice.
I think they would not take a drink, but would take the food. But there's a very serious, concentrated look on their face. As when seeing what's going on and kind of guessing at what the thing does, there's a problem. Because he doesn't have a favorite, or doesn't think he has a favorite, and is wondering if it's going to continually change or not be any of those things, or try to be all of those things. A stick of ribbon candy, or a poached pear, or a slice of pie. And when his hand comes away and it has solidified, the thing has solidified into a form, there would be a bit of a cry of surprise, breath taken in, as what's there is a complicated toy made out of a very stiff kind of bread. And it looks like a small motor with a handle on it, and he starts to crank it, and it actually starts to play out a little scene of two things bobbing on the water. And then he cautiously bites the first thing that was floating there, and there's a big chunk out of it. It still functions for a little time. But he's mostly kind of nibbling and then just staring at this strange little device.
It is excellent. So I think you get the sense, if you're looking at others around you, that it would seem the etiquette here is to not approach new arrivals until they have begun the mingle themselves. So, and yet you also certainly get the sense that there are people who are interested in speaking to you, and lots of just general expectation. After all, I mean, from your for from what you understand, this seems to be like this is for you to get this device. So you really do get the vibe that everyone here thinks of you all as the guests of honor. Not the host, but the guests of honor.
Are there any other Dragonborn?
Yeah. There's
Okay.
also dragons. There's a delegation of devils as well. There's creatures of all fantastical sorts of all kinds, and then here and there's lots of just humanoids too of all stripes, including dragonborn.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick pretty close to Zaleen just because I know she can be uncomfortable with, crowds or, people. So I will be the designated extrovert for Zaleen.
I just have like little pamphlets in my pocket that I'm gonna hand out to people if they start talking to me. Got it all worked out. Come to the dock side.
Sun, get you down. Go for some shade.
Yes, that's what it says on them.
So kind of just like who all is like is everyone mingling, or are you all kind of standing awkwardly, which is allowed? I mean, you tell me what you would all do.
I would just sort of like cling to Lynn and just go wherever she goes
Mm-hmm.
because that why are we
We'll go
here?
look around. I mean, we've never been here before,
Sure.
so like just the scenery alone is going to be pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool. So, yeah, we'll tour the grounds and see who
Mm-hmm.
talks to us.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe do a few of these. Hello,
sure.
hello.
Only I do it like super awkward. I'm like,
I think as you move away from like the central area, there's a little bit less of the magical light generated, and so it's a little bit more of the dim twilight. And even though it's not a fully dark night, there's just an impossible number of stars in the sky, and everything kind of just glows with that twilight softness, and you discover that there are like a number of gorgeous sculpted topiaries, but you are a little bit surprised to discover that as you brush by one, it reacts to you. It is a Pegasus that flutters its wings and stands up a bit straighter as you brush against it. And then I think you find. Let's see. I think you run into a there's a rather strange sort of little congregation here. One of whom, the seeming leader is large, somewhat humanoid, but kind of fish-like in appearance. They're green skin, scaled, kind of Piscine sort of features, dressed in very elaborate clothes, and they seem to be accompanied by a gaggle of mermaids who are riding these strange sort of organotechnical walker machines they're kind of like they've got their fishtails sort of wrapped in and are walking around on these little mechanical legs that are a little bit insect-like. But as you kind of come across this, there's definitely interest, and they approach, and the Marid, who is the leader here, is a powerful, water spirit. Basically, nods to you and says, "Greetings, greetings. We are most privileged and honored to speak with you on this prestigious occasion."
Greetings. Greetings. We are also honored to speak with you on this glorious occasion. I am Zinhorn Windborn of the Pocket Protectors,
Wonderful to meet you.
and you also. Do you have a name?
Ah, yes. I am Halibitus.
Helibitus.
Halibitus of the deepest, uh, the deepest, bluest sea in the elemental plane of water.
Ooh, the deepest and bluest sea. That must be a rare place indeed, given how much water is in the elemental plane of water.
Well, to be sure, there are many places that are deep, and many places that are blue, but mine is the deepest and the bluest.
It sounds like a wonderful place to me.
It is, however, it is also remarkable on occasion to travel and visit places that are very different from home, if only so that you may appreciate it all the more once you return.
I agree.
So, my understanding is that you and your companions are preparing to do something about these incursions from the plane of nightmare. Is that correct?
That is what we are hoping to do, yes.
Splendid,
Um,
splendid.
are they incursions also happening on the elemental plane of water?
Well, there are some, though I am led to understand that as the epicenter of the phenomenon, the material plane suffers far greater effects than we do in the elemental plane of water. However, there have been spills, so to speak.
Yes.
There is great concern from all across the various planes that this problem be resolved. However, it has been given to us to understand that it is a mortal created problem and therefore must need have a mortal solution.
Hmm. That seems reasonable. We will do our best, and so far, our best has been pretty good.
It is my hope that it is both reasonable and effective. And he kind of bows to you.
And I return the bow.
So were the rest of you, is everyone there, or is that, see, I kind of assumed that was Carolina and Zaylene going off to the side, but then Zinhorn was there too, but that's fine. So, well, if Carolina and Zaylene were not there for that one, you guys were off elsewhere?
Yeah, we were just looking at scenery and stuff,
Okay.
and just doing the weird, awkward waving thing.
Oh,
Like,
sure, sure.
I
Um,
think probably I would want to wander over towards that red dragon to see if
okay.
it's the same red
Yeah,
dragon.
okay. We'll do that. So, Vertigo or Nedry or whoever, where are you with Zinhorn or the other two, or have you gone off on your own?
I think in a similar way to what Zinhorn was doing, they're kind of talking to different people, but not nearly as eloquently.
Mm-hmm.
Although he kind of is trying to observe, so it come across as sort of uh, almost aping what other people are doing, but kind of mixing up different parts of different ones and um, not really understanding the meaning of any of it.
Mm-hmm.
But also kind of the same line of questioning that Zinhorn was talking about the incursion in each of their realms, and if it's and if they have seen the Tanglefoot's people actually
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Okay, we'll come back to you in a little bit.
Sure.
But for Carolina and Zaylene, as you go over to this red dragon, the closer you get, it is increasingly clear that this is in fact the red dragon you have previously met, Oneira. And certainly, as she sees you approach, she notices you from some distance as you're moving toward her. Very sharp, that one. She sort of, sits in a sort of a regal position and watches you approach with a, sort of a nod of approval that you've come to speak with her.
So as we get closer, I think when we're within a what seems like a good distance for dragon, like I don't know how
Hmm.
close one gets.
Yeah.
I think probably would give a bow
Hmm.
and address the
I'm
dragon.
feeling like for this is not an ancient dragon, so not as big as some dragons can get, but certainly bigger than you. I think, as they sort of sit on their haunches, their head at the end of the long neck is probably, like 12, 13 feet off the ground, that sort of thing. So I feel like about 15 feet away seems like the right sort of,
Triangulation.
yeah. Um, so yes, and they acknowledge your greeting and just say, "I was told that you would come, and here you are. What a remarkable thing that the individuals who I encountered so recently are now in such a powerful position, poised to impact planes across the cosmos."
It's a strange position we find ourselves in. Um, Certainly was not planned this way. I was mostly curious, how are you doing? When last we saw each other, it was a not ideal situation.
Indeed, I was initially caught unprepared, unaware of the threat that these creatures from the plane of dream represent. However, since your assistance in that matter, I have been successful in protecting my domain from further incursions since.
Oh, that's wonderful news. We're very glad to hear it.
Indeed, you should know that I am here as a representative of the delegation from the city of Brass and the elemental plane of fire to observe this event. But there are those of the draconic persuasion that are not pleased to see this take place.
I am not entirely sure how to respond. We were not sure. Well, we weren't aware that this was going to be quite as large an affair as it is.
Let us hope then that you are not as unprepared for the tasks you face ahead.
And at that, I'm just going to kind of give Zelina a look like, what the hell?
I refer, of course, to your attempt to save the cosmos from the incursions from the plane of nightmare.
Ah,
Was
yes,
that
well,
unclear?
that makes more sense. We, we are taking things as they come, one step at a time. There is little use in panicking and getting worked up over things we neither know about yet nor can control. So we take things as they come and do the best that we can.
This is a wise approach. However, let me be of assistance in alerting you to something that you do not yet know, which is the god of dragons, Dracarys, once suffered a humiliating defeat at the hands of the mortals known as the heroes of legend, and has nursed a grudge against them and their allies since. These allies include the Empress Solomonia, and Dracarys would not see the Solomonia's champions prevail once again.
Well, I don't know that I would necessarily call us specifically and solely champions of Solomonia. As you can see by my companion here, we represent all sorts of peoples and faiths and species. We prefer to think of ourselves as champions for everyone.
Um, she gives you kind of a smirk. You can make an insight check if you like.
Shot insight. Ooh, 31.
31. She is extremely amused by you resisting the idea of being Solomonia's champions. And you suspect that is because your very presence here at that ceremony basically means you are de facto her champions, whether you want to be or not.
I said what I said.
And she says, continues then, in any event, whether it is your desire to represent her or not, there are those who see you in that role and would see you fail so that they might succeed in your place. Do you see those individuals there? And they gesture to that that group that included the two half elves and the tiefling and the humans there. As you look over there, you see them looking back, and they are giving you hard stares. Is it
Like,
like
as in, like, scrutinizing or
no?
like
As in,
hostile?
we hate you
Oh,
specifically and personally. But they're just glaring at you from across the room, basically. And Onira says, "They are the hallowed dark, and they are Dracarys' champions. I would avoid arising their ire."
the advice is appreciated and very welcome and will be heeded. I would also say that regardless of their feelings to us, we're still going to try to save everyone.
It should be understood that I also serve Dracarys. But your assistance to me in the past merits consideration and this warning which I have given you. Be grateful.
We are exceedingly grateful. Thank you so much for this audience. We do appreciate it. Please enjoy your evening.
Yeah. She nods with a "you are dismissed" sort of attitude. Yeah.
I know when to go.
That was intense.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Vertigo, I think as you are kind of walking around, you find yourself approached by the jackal-headed Yugoloth, which make an Arcana check.
26.
You would recognize that this is an Arcanoloth. They are powerful spellcasters. They are, as I previously mentioned, fiends, but neither devils nor demons. They don't come from the hells or the abyss, but they do come from other lower planes. But Arcanoloths in particular are noted as desiring and hoarding knowledge and secret knowledge and that sort of thing. And this one approaches you and just says, "You are the one who likes books, yes?"
Very much so.
As there's kind of two on his hips.
Not so hard to see. I am fascinated by your recent discovery of this machine, this
Ah.
Titan machine.
It is rather interesting. Do you know much about it?
I would know more.
Oh,
How
shame,
did
so
you
would I.
discover what you do know?
Hard research, I suppose. A lot of speculation, some experimentation. Also, finding the right people to ask questions is generally useful.
Ah,
Not as much as
yes.
written down, unfortunately.
Well, the spreading of knowledge is an important thing, of course.
Absolutely.
So,
Oh, that
you
reminds me of what we're
wouldn't.
doing my reports.
Well, I wonder if you could put them off long enough to let me know what you have learned and who you have learned it from, because this Titan machine is not known to many. And it is a fascinating discovery that there is an entity who could create such a thing and who could still be communicated with.
Well, yes and no. The communications part is extraordinarily difficult. Tends to be somewhat mind shattering, which is an unfortunate side effect when one is hoping to use their mind on the other side.
Mind shattering for mortals or more?
Well, being immortal, I can really only judge from my own experience, although I do believe it would have effects on a myriad level of consciousness. Consciousnesses, yes.
Well, it is true that I have the capacity to encounter and absorb knowledge that would drive most mortals mad. However, we are not without foibles and quirks and vulnerabilities of our own. This is an area of knowledge that I have not previously encountered, and it leaves me fascinated. Who did you learn of this machine from?
Well, it's an interesting question. The most recent part more illuminated things we'd been discovering all along. Um, there were elements of this machinery and elements of this construction which we had been running into more often than not. We just didn't know what they were. The derivation is not Dinotherian, although one might argue that it is, given that Dinothere is at the center point of this cosmic coincidence. I wonder. One might suggest
Coincidence
that,
or pattern?
oh, well, on the mortal scale, it probably looks like coincidence. I have glimpses of larger scales in which things don't appear to be nearly as random. It's an interesting contrast in the styles of magic that I've learned. The contrast between chaos and order. The chaotic magic is much harder to focus, of course, but it has its usefulness. Being able to draw a line between the two of them and, of course, incorporate other elements of Dinotherian magic in its theories of, energy transference would be a very limited way to put it.
This individual is just eating this up. and I mean that partly literally. um, they are utterly absorbed by everything that you're saying, locked eye contact, and starting to drool just a little bit in that jackal mouth.
A rapt academic audience. I think that that's the food of the gods that that Vertigo might be susceptible to.
Make a wisdom saving throw, and you can do that with advantage, I think, as a gnome. This is strictly speaking not really like a spell, but it's more just there's kind of a lot of higher magics going on here.
With
Wow,
advantage, it's a 10.
that's not very good. I think
Oh.
that.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, do you have something else?
No, I keep there's some of the more obscure features I keep forgetting
Okay.
whether they are effective or not. No, that's for ability checks, so it wouldn't
Okay.
matter in this case anyway.
Well, so all that's going to happen here is that I think you find that you are just so excited to have someone who's listening so attentively and seems so enraptured by everything you're saying and really, really not only understands what you're saying, but wants to know everything that you have to offer. I think over the next 10 minutes or so, you find that you have told them way, way more than you meant to. Names, places, details, like a lot of the like really pertinent stuff that you might have otherwise felt like maybe this is the wrong time and place and person to tell all of this stuff to, and yet you kind of find it just sort of spilling out.
I feel like it probably unspools in from his perspective, in that he's also exploring his theories out loud and kind of slotting things into different places. And then when there was this, and then there was this, and then these things might be the consequence. So for him, it's not even information so much as it's a practice.
I think this has been going on for a little bit until all of a sudden you hear another voice just say, "Okay, that's enough," and you see a sort of a bright-eyed, rosy-cheeked young dwarf woman who is in some really fancy white robes. Just like comes up and sort of just takes you by the arm and just says, "We're gonna go over here now. Thank you." And the art.
Oh, we'll talk later. What was your name again?
Oh well, I've never been asked the name to give my name to someone. So, and then the dwarf is just saying, "No thanks. We're full up. All right, bye bye." And the Arcanoloth looks frustrated, but then sort of stalks off.
It
And
was a rather interesting conversation.
the dwarf is just saying, "Yeah, I just wanted to kind of rescue you there. I know maybe you didn't feel like you needed to be rescued, but we've run into individuals like that before, and they have a way of making things that sound appealing to studious folks like yourself, and kind of twisting it to their own purpose. And strictly speaking, they haven't done anything wrong exactly, but I thought you needed a timeout. So just let me know if I'm wrong, but think just for a moment about everything you were just saying. Did you mean to tell them all of that?"
Well, maybe some of the details were a little bit more, maybe a little bit too much, but they were very interested and were contributing very much to the conversation. They
Were
said,
they? I think they
uh,
mostly were listening to you tell them everything. Yeah.
well, they said there was well, they seemed to be keeping up.
Well, I'm sure they were listening to everything you said. Did they give you any details at all about yourself, about themselves?
Well, I asked them their name, but we had to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of their thing that they want to take in knowledge and not give it back and not give it out and not share it around. So I didn't want to pull you away from something you're really enjoying, but just in case you were feeling a little bit lost in the sauce there, I thought I'd give you an opportunity to clear your head a little bit. How about we get some fresh air?
They don't publish anything? I do have to think about this. Air sounds fresh.
I think as your head is clearing a little bit, you recognize that uh, this dwarf is ever so slightly translucent, and it occurs to you that you think that this actually might be not a mortal being who lives here, but rather the soul of a mortal being who was once on the material plane, died, and now their soul resides here.
Are you. Do you haunt this place?
Haunt? That's a fun way to think about it. I suppose in a way that I do.
I haven't encountered too many, well, there were rather upset echoes, really, of previous people.
It's true. The word haunt, it conveys that sort of unhappy, unfinished business, the despair or the anger of a soul that has not been able to release itself from the mortal coil. Uh, Certainly, that's not what I'm doing here. But at just the same, I am a spirit left behind. But I've been brought here to my reward. And now I'm here and I am able to help people here and guide people who need it. Kind of gives you a little, chuck on the shoulder.
Is it tangible?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you feel it.
Uh, oh. Well, this does solve some open theories about post animism. I should ask, I think, because you pointed it out, what is your name,
Ah, it's Anna.
Anna? Nice to meet you, Anna. Um, so did this happen recently?
Well, time is a little different here. I don't think that it happened in what you would consider recently, but at the same time that it feels as though it must have happened a long time ago, I still remember everything just as though it were yesterday.
Who? Well, I suppose I was going to ask who were you, but you're clearly still yourself, so that would seem rude.
It's a fair question. It's a fair question. I think there are certainly things that were true about me before that are not true now. But that's partly just because I've been able to set aside some of the baggage that I carried with me out of necessity back when I was alive.
So, are you bound here?
Well, I am bound only in the sense that this is where I want to be. I could leave if I desired, but why would I desire that?
Well, there's still a lot to see in the world, and if you had a chance to see more, wouldn't that be something you would want?
I think that there is a wide variety of experiences in the universe and that not every mortal is going to have the same experience. But for me, I think the reason I'm here is because this is the place that's right for me.
Were you a follower of Solomonia before you came here?
No, no, I followed the spirit of my mountains at that time. It was a local
Shama.
spirit. No, a local spirit in the Barrier Mountains.
Oh. Hmm.
Hmm.
I suppose there are many. It's impossible to catalog, I think, because there are so many and changeable in nature, and often. Sorry, I got lost in my thoughts for a moment there.
That's all right. That's all right. But in any case, I think we're getting close to the time for the big ceremony. Would you like to come back to the central area with me, or I can help you find your friends?
That would be good. Yes, thank you.
Certainly. Come along. And she guides you along. And I think the rest of you have found yourselves um, a similar escort presents themselves to you just to say it is just about time for the presentation, and you know it would be good for you to be at the center of things.
I would just like to interject and say that you are probably the only one who will get this, but I was having House of Hope panic attacks there for a second. I was like, oh God, is she going to go crazy and start begging us to help her?
No,
Oh, she might.
well, you know, you want her to.
Maybe.
But so I think each of you is kind of escorted back to sort of the center of things where you know you are once again reunited with each other. And certainly it does seem as though like most of the other sort of delegations have been given kind of the understanding too that you know things are about to happen. You might as well you know be where you need to be now. It's kind of the equivalent of you know when you're at the theater and they blink the lights a little bit to let everyone know to come and take their seats, you know, that sort of thing. uh, and so uh, soon, where is my yeah, I have to be in the right place in my notes here. um, there is this sense of anticipation in the air. And I think you also quickly realize that the sky is also beginning to lighten a little bit, as though this twilight that you've been in, which hasn't seemed to change really for you know the hour or so that you've been here, but it begins to brighten. And sure enough, from behind the mountain, you see the sun begin to rise, and it is the most beautiful sunrise you have ever seen. But that brightness of that sun seems to come down from where it is coming out of the sky and settle down to an upper sort of mezzanine like balcony that can kind of address everyone who's down here in the courtyard. And it is as though the sun has come down to visit in the shape of a person. And as this happens, your surroundings have now become this gloriously warm, sunny day, and you can feel the warmth on your face. Not unpleasant, but like just, and it's a little too bright to easily look directly at her. But again, like before with the portal, I think to some extent it is your own sort of attitude towards her that would distinguish whether or not you find this a pleasant sensory experience or not. Certainly, you get the sense that several of the delegations from the lower planes are not having a great time. There's a little, you know, some hisses and, you know, snarls, but quiet, polite, but just like that sort of thing. And then as this figure, like the light doesn't quite go away, but you do find yourself able a bit more to sense the being in there. Humanoid in shape, of course, but something like 20 feet tall and just impossibly glowing. Uh, and she begins to speak. Greetings and welcome to one and all of you gathered here. A great many have traveled from across the plains to be here today for this momentous occasion, including generous diplomatic envoys who would not lightly enter the upper plains at all, much less this court. I am grateful to all of you for being here, and for the willingness of all to set differences aside on this important day. We all know that the unprecedented events taking place in the material plane have spilled over the veil to influence the entire cosmos. But as with all things concerning the material plane, these problems must be resolved by mortals. And as such, I have brought you all here to present my champions in the matter, the pocket protectors. And she gestures down, and it again is just like a shaft of sunlight is just shining down on you. And there's a lot of applause and cheers, but notably not from every direction. There are definitely parts of this crowd that are not applauding, including if you glance over to the hallowed dark. Once again, it's just kind of just this just quiet loathing that they're just glaring at you with.
I would like to note that as this big light like beams down on us, that I
Mm-hmm.
actually like physically wince. Like
Mm-hmm.
it bothers me a lot.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh, can I extend my wings so that like because they're not really functional, but
yeah.
maybe they could give some shade.
Mm-hmm. Solomonia continues as, you may well be thinking that they don't look the part of celestial champions. But in these times of crises, we must understand that there are many ways to serve, and champions such as these may extend their reach and my grace into places that a traditional priest or cleric could not. In their tireless efforts to uncover the roots of this current crisis, they have discovered that a fragment of one of the titans has left behind the components of a machine which may very well be the key to their victory, and they have begun the collection of these components with my blessing. Once more, one of these very components was archived for safekeeping right here in the vaults of Mount Celestia, and I invited my champions here so that it might be presented to them with the full pomp and ceremony that such an occasion demands. Behold! And she gestures, and now, like where there wasn't before, there is a pedestal with a glass sort of display on it. And inside is a complicated bit of machinery of the style that you've come to sort of understand as representative of this component. But it has a lot of little dials and uh, knobs and adjustment levers on it, and a couple of spinning hands. She says, "Behold, the chronometer." And there's more applause.
I'm applauding with everyone else.
Oh, yeah. She says, "But I knew the whereabouts of another of these components, and I knew that not everyone across the plains shares my faith in these, my champions. So I conceived of a plan that could simultaneously aid them in their efforts to locate the Titan's components, as well as to demonstrate their worthiness to any who would doubt. Will the hallowed dark please step forward?" And the hallowed dark step forward, and they make a big show of holding up this black case that they've got, and they open it, and it contains another one of these devices. It has sort of a spherical, filigree covered metallic object, maybe the size of a grapefruit, that's at the center of a wheel about 1 foot in diameter that seems to be constantly turning, but like at erratic speeds. And then once you've seen it for a second, they snap the case closed and lock it again. And the one of the half elves, the male half elf with his like draconic eye, just he looks up and he says, "Dracarix presents the rotor." Solomonia continues, "Dracarix of the Nine Hells has offered the rotor as collateral for a challenge wherein she believes her champions can defeat my own. All of you here may serve as witnesses that this challenge is fair. My champions, the Pocket Protectors, will battle the Hallowed Dark for possession of both the chronometer and the rotor." And once again, applause.
Well, that's news to us.
Is that really necessary?
Did anybody really think this was going to be this easy?
Mm,
You think this is easy?
I thought
And
something would be up,
I
but not
produce
this.
a little sign that says sarcasm.
Oh, right.
As the applause begins to fade, I think you all are belatedly recognizing that the crowd seems to expect you to say something now.
Look at Zinhorn.
Challenge accepted.
The big dark-skinned human woman who had been holding the case and has a big axe just kind of quietly goes, "Yes!" And the others just are maintaining the tiefling is kind of smirking with he has like these really exaggerated fangs, and he's kind of smirking at you, and the two half elves and the other human are just kind of continuing to give you sort of just this arrogant glare. But the one who spoke before approaches and just says, "I am Aranar Valkis. This is my sister, Athmia Valkis." And gestures to the tiefling, "Caithus." And then to there's a short human man with a buzz cut, and his eyes are like black with like little black veins going up his forehead. And this is the one with like the dark glowing dagger. This is Draven Malas. And to the dark-skinned woman with the axe, "Vivienne de Rose. And we will be the one to defeat the Titan's artifact. And if we must go through you to do it, we will."
Wow. I got nothing against you, but apparently you are now in my way. So I guess I'll be scraping you off my boot pretty soon.
Couldn't we just collaborate? We give you full author rights. That's not a problem.
The one that the tiefling kind of smirks and just says, "Well, if you want to just hand over the components that you've got, that seems like a fair way to collaborate, yeah?
Well, no, my research isn't completed yet.
Well, I guess we can't collaborate then."
I'm not sure if you understand what that word means. I don't mean that as an insult. It's common to have difficulty with vocabulary, especially if it's not your original tongue.
The sister half elf has kind of just been sort of looming behind the shoulder of the male half elf, and she whispers something to him, and Aranar just says, "The challenge has been made and accepted. There is nothing more to say." And they as a group they kind of turn, but the the big dark skinned woman with the axe is this is Vivian, is basically looking as though it is taking everything she has to not just start swinging right now.
Well, good luck.
I look over at Lynn and I'm just like, and I just like crack my knuckles, and you see like the little Eldritch Blast energy like roll across.
Mm-hmm. So
We
Solomonia
must.
continues and says, I have prepared a battleground with hazards that will not give either side an advantage. When both parties are ready, the challenge may begin. Hallowed Dark, are you ready? And they say, we are. She turns, Pocket Protectors, my champions, are you ready?
Not really. No. We were brought here under different premises, and while I can probably hold myself in most competitions, I would be able to prepare better if I had a day. After all, it seems as though they've known about it for some time.
Uh,
But that
I
would be unfair, wouldn't it?
I think those of you with a better insight skill are recognizing that although you were certainly asked if you were ready or not,
It
the
wasn't really a question.
well, it's not so much that like this is not something you're getting from Solomonia, but you are certainly getting a vibe from the crowd that to present yourselves as unready at this time suggests weakness. It suggests that you are not, you're concerned that you're not up to the task. And so this is not necessarily something where you don't get to say, no, you're not ready, but that there are people who are here specifically because they are not yet persuaded that you all are the worthy figureheads for this this quest, and are here to see who will emerge victorious. And though those who are on Solomonia's side would cheer you on and be fine to let you take as much time as you need, there are others who will see that as a sign of weakness.
I think I'm gonna put a hand on Vertigo's shoulder and be like, I think we can begin whenever you like.
My champions are ever ready to take on evil wherever it may show its head.
Well, that's generally true, actually. It's been rather interesting, rather few weeks.
And so, to the battlefield. And she holds up her hand, and before both you and the Hallowed Dark, there's two separate portals that open up.
Gonna
All right.
kind of motion to Zaylene after you.
All right. Zinhorn, do you still not have your armor on?
Oh, it's time to put the armor on.
We don't have 10 minutes.
His armor is like magic
Oh,
liquid
that's right.
armor.
He just
It's spandex. It's
Yep.
It's like the what was that gladiator? The American Gladiators. He just pulls it on real quick, and then he's in spandex now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how's that gonna work? Because like I'm not wearing mine either. Like that's not what I've prepared for. So like, can she just like snap her fingers and give us our stuff? 'Cause, like,
Well, so I think that I'm just trying to think how this would present, because I'm certainly not trying to make you go into a fight without your gear.
I'm just gonna, while I'm here, gonna cast mage armor on myself.
Okay, well, so I think that what as you start like looking around, wondering this question, you see that a couple of these lantern-like celestials are approaching with like your gear somehow has been brought to you.
Okay. I cast Aid at 4th level, so the three of you all get 15 hit points.
Yeah, there's the that's the permanent, like the change.
Yeah, your max
Yeah.
Okay.
goes up as well, and they're
Okay.
not temporary.
Okay.
I half
Thank you.
expected there was going to be like a celestial locker room on the other side of the door. Out of the sight of all the people here, but there's a place to kind of gear up and privacy. You need a little. No,
That's a fun
I mean-
idea. I almost wish I had thought of it, but
I mean, they're just standing around waiting because
yeah.
they're never prepared for anything, so might as well not be prepared for this either.
Okay, so I think as you gear up, we can imagine, the montage version of it. You know, tightening straps, buckling buckles, pulling down, armor. Zinhorn's glorping liquid metal armor going glorp, 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 glorp. Does it make that
Moving
noise,
bookmarks.
Zinhorn? Does it make the noise? It
I
doesn't
was
have
kind
to
of-
if you don't want it to
I
make a
was
noise.
kind of not, I never imagined it making noise.
Okay, fair enough. Silently spreading across your body like a second skin. As you are all prepared, there is another round of cheers from the assembled court. As you prepare to take the stage as Empress Solomonia's champions.
I would like to, since everyone else is preparing, I'm going to cast protection from good and evil on Zaleen.
Okay. I'm gonna cast Death Ward on you. We're just gonna all just keep.
Okay. So, just let's go ahead and get you on the battle map. And just as a heads up, this is probably this is going to be a complicated combat because you've got a whole sort of evil party of adventurers that you're fighting here. And there's other things going on as well. And so it is quite possible, likely even, that this is a combat that won't finish tonight. Just heads up. Unless, you all die right away. I mean, it's possible.
It's always a chance.
Yep.
So let's bring the map onto the screen. Oh, God. There we go.
I'm still looking at the.
I know,
Blood map.
Yeah, okay, so,
Looks exactly like that. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you step through, you find yourself in sort of a long, narrow
Oops.
battle. I kind of just assumed you were going to bring out Buster. You tell me if you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But yes, as you emerge, you see this terrain that is dominated by these huge fungus-like structures. And you see across the way the Hallowed Dark is also there, and they have also brought their own sort of bruiser. They have it looks like a small dragon's skeleton that has been reanimated. And once again, just as a reminder of each of their deals, I'm gonna just highlight, put them in left to right order, just so I can kind of give you the vibe of each, so that in case that means anything tactical for you. So this one here on the left is Athmia Valkis, the female half elf. She has got one draconic eye. She is carrying a nasty looking sword and leathers. And then the tiefling is this one right here. and that is Kythus. He's got a bow and he's got wings that look functional. Right here is Aronar, the Aronar Valkis. He has got a mace and plate armor and a shield. Right here is Vivian. She's tall, bulky, carrying a big axe, also wearing plate armor. And then this guy right here is the Draven Malice. He's short, buzz cut hair, dark eyes, big, nasty looking dagger. And so, as you arrive here in this place, I will let everyone who would like to make, I guess, an intelligence check.
Just straight up intelligence?
Yeah. All right. So that's a 29 for Vertigo. Pretty good. Well, that's an intelligence save. I said a check, but that's still it's still pretty good. It's good enough that it's fine. But in this place, what you are reminded of most is one of the previous times when you directly dealt with Solomonia. It is when Percival collapsed the government building into a demiplane of fungus, and you all fought a demon lord of fungus in there, weakened demon lord. The landscape in there reminded you a lot of all this. And it occurs to you that wasn't the end of that whole encounter Solomonia taking possession of the weakened demon lord?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you remember that, just the vibe of this place says, familiar. And Solomonia did say hazards that would be, fair to both parties. Okay. So with all of that, please roll initiative.
Are there 2 copies of us on the map? I see far to the north there seems to be another grouping of us.
Oh, there is. You're right. That's on me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We just lost our advantage.
Oh, wait. Shh. Wait till we run into our others. We went back in time and put ourselves there.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna have you be up there after all, because I'm gonna say that's the portal you just came through.
Okay.
But if you would like to sort of get yourselves into a slightly different position before we officially begin initiative, that would be okay.
Are there any different levels here?
Yeah.
Are there so many levels?
Yeah. Well, there is a specific number of levels. Yeah, as you can see, these sort of layers of like shelf fungus are kind of sort of like uneven stairs going down there. I would say it's a descent of maybe 10 feet total across that whole length.
Oh, okay. And the stuff on the sides, is that?
It's mostly like trees. It's towering above.
Oh, okay. Okay. So still, we can still move through that area without any.
More or less, you can see that the ground is like open in a lot of places.
Oh, okay.
Like that where there's ground is not. It's not all solid ground under there.
Okay.
Like see, here and so on, like kind of open.
Gotcha.
Okay. Looks like we're still needing some Oh, there we go. Nice natural one there for Vertigo.
No, it didn't.
Alrighty.
Don't feel
Okay.
too bad, Mark. I rolled a 2, so
Yeah. Yeah, that's generally speaking not a super great initiative showing.
Almost all last.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We've got a tie between Zaline and Draven. So I think for these purposes, I will let Zaleen go ahead and be first ahead of Draven. It's amazing how much simpler I think it is for the 2024 rules to just say, just decide who's first. You don't have to deal with like Dex score, which could then just be another tie. So then you have to roll a die or whatever. Just pick. It's something that could always have been done, but it just feels like a relief to me. Anyway, as we are ready to begin, Athmia Valkys is first up. And let's see, what does she do? This is probably going to be slow, partly because I'm dealing with, 6 adversaries here that all have their own completely different stuff. So please forgive me if some of this is a little bit slow, especially to begin here. Okay, so she is going to run forward 30, and I believe that puts all of you within 60 feet. Just exactly within 60 feet. And she is going to do. She looks at you, and sort of puts her hand to one side of her head, the opposite side of the draconic eye, almost like this is hurting her a little bit to do. But the eye glares at all of you, and you feel. Oh wait, no, never mind. Sorry, that's not what she's doing. Yeah, so you feel this emanation coming from her eye, and I need everyone to make a wisdom saving throw.
Is it a magical effect?
Yes.
Oh yeah, no. This is Lynn's spiral of doom all
Yeah.
over again.
Right, okay. Hang on, I'm trying to. Why is it? There we go.
Oh, probably
All
one
right.
for Buster as well.
Oh yeah, we do need a initiative for Buster as well.
I did Buster's initiative.
Oh yeah, it's
But
in
the
there.
save-
Yeah.
the save
Oh,
one.
yeah. Buster does need to make the save.
Oh, good point. Thank you.
All right. Um, Hey.
Wisdom, so he's at -2. So whatever this is, -2.
Okay, so what we're looking for is a 19 to save.
No, he can't do it.
Yeah. So that's going to be then, looks like Zinhorn saves, Vertigo saves, Zaleen saves. Not for Lynn, not for Buster. So those of you who didn't save, you are dazed until the start of her next turn. That means that on your turn, you can only do one of the following things: move, use an action, or use a bonus action. And that is, she also gains 10 temporary hit points for the 5 each for the two creatures who failed it. All right, that is her turn, and so then it is Kythus's turn.
Does me taking that, do I have to make a constitution, a concentration check?
You didn't take any damage, so no.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. Wanted to make sure.
No, it's a good question. Actually, let me just double check. Nope, no effect on that because it's not damaged. So Kythus is going to draw his scaled longbow, and Zaleen, you've kind of come out front, and so he is going to make 3 longbow attacks against you. That's a 16 to hit.
Yep.
Okay. And then that's a 25 to hit and and a crit for 31 to hit.
The 25 definitely
Yeah.
doesn't hit. But the 16 does.
Yeah. Okay. So, um, oh, and you know what? Technically, he should have had advantage, but he hit all 3 times anyway, so I'll just leave it.
He could have had 3 crits though.
Yeah. Well, if you want me, I'll roll the extra rolls.
You can.
Yeah.
I'm
all right.
not scared.
All right, let's do it then. Okay. So 16 and 25 would have been for the first one, then 31 and 29 for the second one, and then 15 and 20. So it's still just 3 hits and one, one of them is a crit.
Was a crit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see. For the first one is 13 piercing damage plus 7 necrotic damage.
Okay.
And then the second one is, or the second regular hit is 15 piercing damage plus 3 necrotic damage.
What was that again? Plus, what was it? Plus 3?
15 plus 3.
Okay.
So 20 to start for the first hit, 18 for the second.
Okay.
And then, sorry. And then 17 piercing damage plus 14 necrotic for the crit. So that's another
So 31.
30. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I am
one-
going to cast Hellish Rebuke.
Okay.
I don't think it's relevant because they're not necessarily fiends, aberrations, or all the other things that protection from good and evil are, but because that would have conferred disadvantage on the attack.
yeah,
but
no,
I don't think they are any of those things.
They are not. The dragon thing would be, because that's undead. So that one would, but yeah, he does not. He's just a humanoid who serves evil.
So that is
I'm not
a
evil, I just work here.
a dexterity 19 saving throw.
Yeah, let me roll that for him.
Come on in there. Get off there.
Wow. Okay, he got a natural 20 on that. So
Well, he's still going to
Yeah.
take half of that.
okay, so this looks like would be 13.
Yeah.
13. Although he is a tiefling, he is resistant to fire. So I'm gonna take 6.
I still want him to know I'm mad.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. Were you concentrating on anything?
No.
Okay.
Death word isn't concentration.
All right, and so he is going. He has kind of he runs over here to just get away from the group a little bit, but hanging back somewhat. There's not really a lot of cover here where you wouldn't run out of ground.
Okay.
Okay, that is Kythus's turn. It is now your turn, Saline.
Yeah, so because he is rude, I would like for him to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
Because I'm going to cast Contagion on him.
Okay. Well, that's not super good. That's just a 13.
That is going to be a fail.
Okay.
I have to read this now. If the target, blah, blah, blah. So it becomes poison.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no. He only gets to do that. Wait, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
I've never used this spell before.
Sure. Contagion is kind of a weird spell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You actually have to make a melee spell attack.
Okay.
So.
Oh, so you can't do that one at range, you mean? I mean, melee, you would have to be.
Melee.
Yeah.
Melee spell attack is.
Yeah. Melee spell attack just means you would have to be in melee range. It's just kind of like anything where you have to touch them.
Oh dear. I guess I'm not going to do that then. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Well, maybe later.
Yeah, maybe. But I am going to. I'm super mad, so I'm going to. I'm going to cast Insect Plague.
Okay.
And I'm going to do it. I have to see here. I'm going to cast it so that it's a 20-foot radius.
Right.
So I would like it to start
Let's
at
see
her
this.
and then get all of them.
Yeah, I'm. This is
Possible.
just to get the size. I'll put it in the right place in a moment. Think. Yeah, I think that's the right size. So you want it to. Let's see. Looks like you can. You can get. Yeah, you can have everybody in it as long as a couple of them are only sort of on the edges of it.
Yeah, as long as
Like
they're
the.
in it.
Yeah.
They're in it. Yep.
Yeah.
Works for
Mhm.
me.
Sure. Okay.
So
Did they
let me
make the
cast
save on
that.
their
So
turn for this one?
when the area appears, each creature in it must make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, okay. Well, so already rolled one for Kythus, so we'll let that
Uh-huh.
one stand. That was a 13. For Aranar, that's going to be 23.
Okay. So
Athmia,
that's a save.
yeah. Athmia gets a 15.
That isn't that is a fail.
Okay. Uh, Draven gets a 25.
That's the save.
Yeah. And then Vivienne gets an 11. So let's see. That's a fail for Kythus and for uh, Athmia.
Okay.
So far, and then I wait. So how many did I?
There was 4 so far.
Yeah. Okay. And Draven had already rolled, and so
Right.
the bone dragon hasn't gone. Dragon bone golem. Um, that gets an 8.
Okay, so
And
that
then
fails.
yeah. So okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay, that should be everybody. So,
Okay.
so what happens to them if they fail or if they save?
They take 4d10 piercing damage,
Okay, it looks
or
like
half if they save.
okay, and it's piercing, not like poison or something.
Yep, just
Okay,
piercing.
so the dragon bone golem failed, and so it is going to take 21 piercing. Piercing, yeah. All
Yep.
right. Athmia also failed, so she's taking 21 piercing. Actually, just because this is the complexity of this sort of setup is that they all have kind of their own stuff. So I have to like just double check who's got resistances to what. Okay,
Yeah.
they're actually it's simpler than I would have thought. But yeah, so none of them have resistance to piercing. Um, Okay, so Aranar saved, but he's going to still take 10. Vivian failed, 21. Draven also failed, he's going to take 21. And then Caiaphas, I didn't do his already.
Succeeded.
Yeah, Caiaphas succeeded, so he takes 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. And is it
All
like,
right.
is it obscured in there? Is it like heavily obscured or lightly obscured in the circle?
I don't. Let me double check. It doesn't say.
Okay. All right.
Oh wait, no, it does. I'm
Okay,
sorry. It
that's
is
all right.
lightly obscured,
Lightly obscured.
and
Okay,
it's difficult terrain.
right. So it means that like if you were going to try to make a ranged attack through it, it would be at disadvantage because
Right.
it's hard to see through.
Yep.
Actually, I think wait, no. I think it would only be if heavily obscured that it would do that. I think to make a perception check through it's at disadvantage. Anyway, that's a good turn. You did some good damage there.
Yeah. And I'm gonna move.
Okay.
I'm gonna move back up here and I'm gonna hide behind Buster because I'm like more than half my hit points are gone.
Great. Great.
So I'm back here. Okay, that's my turn.
Okay. Um, let's see what he does. Um, yeah, I think he's going to first, he is going to try to run out of, oh, it's difficult terrain too, huh? Okay. All right. So he is going to, I think, move back here 5 feet, 15, 20. Um, and yeah, and I'm gonna have him do a little hop here. I'm gonna have him make a low, relatively low DC athletics check to kind of hop over that. Actually, I'm gonna give him acrobatics for that, and it's gonna be the same deal for any of you who want to like move over those sorts of gaps. Fair? Um, yeah, he got a 21 on that dexterity check, so he moves to there. And then he is within 60 feet of Buster. Um, I think that, well, you know what? Actually, that doesn't. He is actually just going to use his action to dash because none of his stuff is good at range, really. So I'm going to have him make another dexterity check here. Yeah, that's fine. 26 to 10, 20, 30. Yeah, so he's running up to get in the mix here. And that puts him now within 30 feet of Buster, and he has a bonus action, Creeping Dread. Draven chooses a creature he can see within 30 feet of him in an area of dim light or darkness. I think, I don't know, maybe it's not that dark here. Not right by the portal, anyway. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you want this whole place to be in dim light or no? Because it could go either way.
I
I'm going to say no, not
Mm,
right by the portal. So that is all that happens for him right now. Zinhorn, your turn.
all right. I am going to cast Blade Barrier,
Okay.
which will create a wall 100 feet long, 20 feet high, and 5 feet thick.
Okay.
And the 3 people who will get caught in it will have to make a dexterity saving throw with a target of 18 or take 60.
Well, first let's figure out where to
Yep.
put in the wall.
All right. I am putting the wall. Come on. It's not letting me draw.
I mean, if you want to just tell me, I can draw it, or
Well, I can get like the 3 who are in a row from the one closest to us to the one with the big axe and get the one in the middle.
okay.
Let me see if I can. Yeah, so it's yeah. That one,
Okay.
and that one. I can do a straight line through.
Okay.
And
And so tell me that it's 5 feet wide.
5 feet wide.
Okay.
And I'm going to start it at this pink brain coral up here.
Okay. So, whoops, that's not the tool I wanted. I'm just gonna draw it freehand.
Okay.
So, wow. Okay, that was not what I expected to happen.
Oh, that was me.
Okay.
The effects on the menu, you can actually draw arcs and beams and all kinds of things now.
Okay, fun. Yeah, but so let's say like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's maybe that's 70 feet long. I could have it extend further if you want it to.
Uh, if it needs to, we'll catch up with it
Okay.
later. But it's
All right.
it's
So,
just going
okay.
that way.
So the
Yep.
three that are caught in it make dexterity saves.
Dexterity with a target of 18.
Okay. So first, Draven is going to get a 23. And then Athmia is going to get a 22. And then Vivienne, not as good. Is going to get, wow, a 17, but that's still a fail.
Okay. So that is 41 damage for Vivian and
Nice.
20 for the others. And ignore that roll. Force damage.
Okay. All right.
And that space is now difficult terrain as well. And if they stay in it, they take another 60-10.
Well, sure, but they probably won't. Just heads up.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, good to know. Good to know. Okay, are you doing anything else? Are you going to move or?
I am going to move. No. That breaks that strategy. Okay, well, I can always change it later. Yeah, I guess I'll move over here.
Okay. All right. It is the Dragonbone Golem's turn. It has movement speed of 40. It's also a little bit dumb, so I think it is going to run right through your blade ward thing. So it's going to move past the insect plague, but it needs to make a dex save for the blade barrier.
Okay.
It gets an 17, which looks like it fails. So do we want to roll that? We can use that second.
Okay.
That
use the
second roll.
one, 38.
Yeah, so 38, and it fails. It's going to take that. And then I think that Aranar is cursing at it that it just like runs straight through. Okay. And that's, I think it has to dash because it's difficult terrain to get through the insect plague, but 10, 20,
What's
15,
its movement rate?
40, just give me a second.
Oh.
I'm counting. So like to get to here was its, like its initial 40. Wait, so 10, 20, and that would be 40. And then 10, 15, 25. Yeah, okay. So it basically races right up to you, Zinhorn, but it had to dash to do that.
Okay.
Okay. Lynn, your turn.
Was that counting it as difficult terrain? As
Yes.
it raced through there? Okay. I
Because
thought so.
it
I
had
just
to
wanted
dash,
make sure.
and so it used its first 40 to get through.
Okay.
Okay, but I thought difficult terrain meant it reduced your movement speed.
It
That's
makes
what we were
every
just talking
movement
about.
through difficult terrain count as half. So it moved 25 feet through the difficult
Got it.
terrain, counting for 50 feet, but it dashed, so that's a total of 80 feet.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Lynn.
Okay. My I don't know what is going on. All of a sudden my browser won't let me select it, so I don't
Okay.
have to move everything out of the way. What is going on right now? Okay. I am going to cast. Let's see, where did it go? There it is. Because I am very limited in what I can do right now, I am going to cast Prismatic Wall,
Okay.
and I'm going. Let's see. I'm going to do the straight line, and come on, killing me right now. No, you know what? I can do it like right there, like between where Buster and the bone dragon.
Okay.
Well, no, hold on, because I can't. Um, you think? Okay. So it's gonna run diagonal between. Okay, let me zoom in there.
Okay.
Between Buster and Zinhorn,
Mm-hmm.
right? And because I can designate like um, people that are immune, it's going to include my allies.
Okay. I'm still not following where you want it to be. Like
So
between
running diagonal between where in the space where Buster is and then
like
where
that?
Zinhorn is. Yes, like that.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Um,
Seems like you're kind of
and
leaving Zinhorn out to dry a little bit.
well, I mean, he chose to go there.
Okay.
Like,
Thanks.
I'm very limited in what I can do. Like, it's
Sure.
not gonna hurt you. It's fine. All it means is that I posted that in. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So this does a lot of things. It's got like
Yeah.
7 layers.
Basically, it does nothing to them except that it makes it very difficult to get through. Yeah.
There's 7 different layers, and
Mm-hmm.
they can be destroyed, but yeah, they're gonna be taking damage when they try to go through it. So,
Um.
um,
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
and that's really all I can do because oh, do I get to make another save for the whatever it was that she did?
Oh. No. It's
Yeah,
until
the
the start of her
stun.
next turn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That is Lynn's turn. It is now Aranar's turn. And he sees that wall go up and shouts, "Cowards!" And then what does he do? Gosh, you've certainly tactically um, done some smart things here. Um, just makes it complicated for them to get through it. Um, okay. Okay, he's going to. All right. Well, you know what? He's just going to also have to basically dash to get out of this. He's smart enough to not go straight through the. Uh, okay, then the blade barrier. What does it prevent attacks and stuff from going through it?
No.
Okay,
Not the blade barrier.
it just. Oh,
It just hurts.
okay. Um. Okay. Um. The wall provides 3/4 cover.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that just means for anyone attacking through it. Okay. So he uses his dash to get up to there uh, out of the insect plague. And then where are his bonus actions? There we go. Did we just lose someone out of the Zoom call? We did.
Yeah.
We
We
lost
lost Starla.
Starla. Okay, well, let's hopefully, I don't have a, let's see, is this, there we go. Um, okay, so his bonus action is that he is going to, um, he has a shout that he yells to Draven and says, um, "In Drakark's name, be healed." And Draven is going to get 14 hit points back. And then he also has a thing here. Um, uh, when he is within 30 feet of Athmia and casts a spell that restores hit points, she also gets those hit points. All right. That is his turn. It is now Buster's turn, except Buster, A, still dazed, but also B, prismatic wall is, I don't, let's see, can he, oh, so I guess he can go through the wall if he wants. And he could go back and forth, I suppose.
Um, uh, oh, yeah, we can then if well, he's confused.
Mm-hmm.
He's dazed right now, and there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing like he can bite, so he's gonna stay where he is.
Okay. All right. That was Buster's turn then. It is now Vivienne's turn. What?
Can
Yeah.
can he hold an attack action?
He can do an action, a move, or a bonus action. Only
Okay,
one.
but he can't hold the action.
What? What? Tell me what you're trying to say. What action would he hold?
A bite if something came up.
Yes, he can do that.
Okay.
Okay, but you could just say that though.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So that would make it Vivienne's turn. She also is trying to get out of all of this stuff. She's going to also use her dash to get out, but I think she's going to go this way. All right, getting everybody back. So, welcome back.
Sorry.
It's okay. It happens.
Jenny has a mustache.
Wait, what is her movement speed higher? Let me just double check.
Mark has a double mustache.
Anyway, everyone's doing hair mustaches. I guess all mustaches are hair mustaches usually, huh? Okay, so this is aggravating, but that's all right. Vivienne is going to charge. Yeah, she's 10, 20, 30. Yeah, so she had to dash also, and then she's hopping over to here, making a strength check, and she's fine. Having to dash to get out of the insect plague without having to cross through the blade barrier again, and she. Oh, you know what? Never mind. I take back. That's not what she does. What she does is from here, she enters a draconic rage, which means that she is going to first grow to large size. And then she is also going to dash forward still, but just go this way, so 20 feet, 40 feet. 60 feet. So she's not out of the insect plague, but it's a constitution save for for the insect plague, I believe. But she is resistant now to piercing damage. She rolled an 18 on the save. Okay. All right. So how much?
Nope. I have to roll. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
I was reading
Yeah.
the spell again.
Hmm.
So she takes 15
All right.
because it was half of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that was her turn. Nedry, it is your turn.
One thing I'm not certain about is the prismatic wall opaque.
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Well, let me just double check. I believe it is. It does say that you can designate the creatures you designate can pass through and remain near the wall without harm. But um, uh, yeah, but that it doesn't. It is opaque.
Okay. And I know if they're within 20 feet of it, they get potentially blinded. It's
Yeah.
sort of
Well,
like-
no one has started their turn yet since it's been
Yeah.
up.
it does mean there's no shadows there because there's like bright light to 100
Yeah.
feet or
Mhm.
something crazy
Mhm.
like that. All right then. Okay, so I have to do that, and that's probably the closest anyway. Okay. Well, why don't we fall on a classic? Let's just see here.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. The area with the insect plague, is that considered unoccupied? I don't know
What
if
do
that- I can put people in unoccupied spaces, but I don't know if the insect plague it counts as unoccupied.
I think
Same with the-
it's not occupied. It's not a creature.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the blade barrier similarly, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Then let's see how far. Can I move through Buster's space? He won't stop me, will he?
Well, what are you trying to do? Just like
Okay, so
That's okay.
the idea is
Yeah.
that Vertigo will pass through the prismatic wall, the
Uh-huh.
closest point,
okay.
yeet the two closest people back into the chaos that's down below. So they're going to start their turns there, and then walk back behind the prismatic wall.
Okay. I sure. Yeah.
Well,
That's
you
fine.
might as well throw them in the blade barrier while you're at it.
Well, that's kind of why I was asking if it's also.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 15 feet to get to there.
Okay.
He'll target this one and this one. I'll
Okay.
twin a. I kind of want to call it yeet, but vortex warp.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think costs me the spell's level, so that's 2. Nope, that's not the one. I want the other one. Okay, spent my 2. It is a. Oh, I can heighten that.
Okay.
Just want to see if I can do 2 at once. I don't think so. No, okay, I can't heighten it. Okay, so it's a saving throw, a Constitution saving throw, I believe. Yeah,
Okay.
difficulty 19.
Okay. So Athmia got just exactly a 19,
Okay, so no
Um,
effect.
and then Draven. Draven got a 12.
Okay, so Draven is now here,
Okay.
and then he steps back 5 feet
Okay.
behind the wall.
All right.
So because he entered the insect plague,
I would assume this is a starts his turn in situation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually involuntary movement doesn't
Yeah.
trigger those things necessarily. Although
Mhm.
might with
Mhm.
blade board, I'm not sure.
No.
But at the beginning of their turn, they'll
Which
Yeah.
must be so funny if every turn he runs out of the cloud and the blade barrier and you send him
it's my most effective attack is to throw them into your guys' stacks right now. So
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's everything.
Okay. So we've now completed one round of combat. But here's the thing that happens. What? What are you doing? What?
Sorry.
That's
A
okay.
creature must also make the saving throw when it enters the spell's area for the first time on a turn.
Oh.
So because it entered like it was Mark's turn, it doesn't say its turn because it says or ends
I'm going to
its
say,
turn.
as DM, I don't think it's fair to be able to make it take the damage on Mark's turn and then also on its turn.
It would only take it if it ends its turn there. That's what I'm saying. Like it says
Okay.
for the first time
Oh,
on
so
a turn or
but it's it.
ends its
Okay,
turn.
well that means then that okay, well that's
So like on its turn it can leave.
okay.
Like if
Well
it leaves
that's
that's what I'm
right,
saying.
but that's different. That's not what we were saying earlier. That's why I was confused. Because if it
Okay,
starts,
yeah.
if it's where it starts on the turn, then that wouldn't be fair. Okay,
Yeah,
so
actually,
in that
Blade
case,
Barrier
then
reads
yes.
the same in that case too.
Okay, so in that case, then he's making a Constitution save for the insect plague.
Yep.
What? Oh, stop. That's a fail. And then what is it? Dexterity save for the blade barrier? Yes.
Yes. Dexterity save 18.
He gets a 21 for the blade barrier.
So he will take half damage.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
want me to roll that now?
yes. Sorry, I don't mean to say it like that, but yes. Taking 28 piercing for the insect plague. That's
17, so
17.
half
He'll
damage
take
is
half
8.
of that. Yeah. Okay.
That sucked.
Yeah. Well, you guys have done a whole lot of damage to them without them being able to even get to you so far. So yeah, I don't think you have any position to complain. However, what is going to happen now at the start of this turn is that arising out of a cloud of spores that begins to sort of collect and form itself in the air above the battlefield. This is happening. So I'm placing it in a spot here, but it should be understood that it is like 40 feet above the battlefield here.
Okay.
Is what appears to be a fully healed and regenerated demon lord of rot and fungus.
There's a humongous fungus among us.
It's true. There is. And I think that is where we are going to leave our cliffhanger for tonight. So what will happen when the battle continues? We'll have to wait and find out for more adventure on so many levels.
So many levels.
But not next week. I'll be traveling. But maybe the week after. We'll see. All right.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.